Facebook, Twitter, and all those other good joints. Oh, yeah, man. It's time for Kevin's Corner, where I try to make sense out of nonsense. Welcome to the show. It's Wednesday night. So before we get started, I want to make sure y'all can hear me. Can you hear me? Check one, check two. Please confirm. Over and out. Roger that. Breaker. Can y'all hear me? Breaker 19. Yeah, it's a breaker 19. This goes out to all of you patriots out there. If you can hear me, come back. Copy. I don't see no chats. Well, I see them over here. There they go. All right. I have buckets. I have buckets and clean glasses. All right. Good. Yeah. Crying Chuck Schumer. He's on the wheels of steel tonight. He didn't make the cuts on my show. Yeah, I got something serious to talk about tonight, y'all. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't give everybody a warning. This message, I would say anybody can get something out of this live stream tonight. You don't have to be a Christian, even though the title talks about 2 and 4 Christians. But if you are a Christian, then you definitely need to hear this, okay? Because see, what we're going to do is ask y'all to, look through your spiritual lenses and your natural lenses. You know what I'm saying? If you got some spiritual lenses, you need to go ahead and put them on. Like, all right, let me see something here. I better go ahead and look through the spiritual lenses and the natural lenses, because what we're talking about is applicable across the board. But definitely for Christians, Jews, black folks, minorities, you name it, Republicans, patriots, people in the middle, they can all benefit from this, because see, really the only people that we're going to have to address is the radical left. See, that's it. Everybody else is included in this. They can benefit from this live stream. Only folks that are excluded are the ones causing the chaos and responsible for the nonsense that I'm going to be revealing tonight. So now with that being said, this number on the screen, 330-974-4607. If you text MAGA to that number, I'll lock you in. And then also, please, if you have not subscribed to the channel, hit the like button, share the videos, follow me on all the other social media platforms. I did check to see if we made any progress over here on my alternative channel. Nope. And also, they've been sticking it to me. When it comes down to that video, I asked all you to watch. I went on to watch the video and text MAGA to my own channel from my other channel, and it never even showed up. So some of y'all might have texted MAGA or put MAGA in the comment, and it never even showed up to confirm that you watched that video. Because see, they're playing around with those numbers over there too. Just like they're probably definitely going to play around with this one. Okay. So with that being said, with no further ado, since we got a lot to go ahead and bite down on, let's get busy. Oh, yeah. Buckle up. It's going to be a rough ride. Mm-hmm. Real gorilla. This is G's in the building. Gorillas in here. Yeah, man. Oh, also, don't forget, I do have a corner store. You can go in there and shop till you drop. And then finally, since we are going to be talking about some spiritual things as well tonight, if you want to give an offering, feel free. I got myself a charity hotline right down at the bottom of the video. And come on down and throw all your pennies and nickels in there if you want. But it does support the channel. I do a monthly fundraiser. The link is right below. If you want to support the channel, you can do that. Now, with no further ado, guys, as Christians and citizens, you got to keep your ear to the street. And what do I mean? You got your natural ear, then you got your spiritual ear. You got your natural eyes, you got your spiritual eyes. And what I'm talking about is you got to say, well, what is God doing in this climate? Because see, we've seen some radical changes take place. Somebody said, I have an echo. Anybody else hearing the echo? Let's double check. Let's double check. That Satan is a liar. Yeah, he probably is like, oh, out of all the live streams, we definitely want to go ahead and make sure this one don't go out. All right. So anyway, just refresh. It might not. I think it's just one person. So everybody else says no echo. So now, in this last, let's say maybe 8 to 10 years, we've seen some radical, drastic changes take place across the whole world. And it's always important as a Christian to see, okay, well, I can look at this and say, all right, this impacts me, physically, financially, economically, and this and that. But as a Christian, you have to have a dual role. See, you got to be able to sniff out stuff that might be unseen versus the stuff you see. So then you got to ask yourself, well, wait, how does all of these activities, all of these events, all of these changes in our society, all of this stuff weigh in or could be a part of a biblical message as well? Meaning we've seen things happen that I'm thinking to myself, this right here is uncommon. This right here seems to be accelerating. These things right here is a concern. You take, for example, did y'all ever think that we would be sitting here contemplating about what should happen to kids if they feel there's something different on the inside? And you got grown-ups and politicians trying to support this mess. That is a perversity that you have to just, you have to concede that that's just demonic. I mean, it's demonic and it's coming from the top down. We're looking at an astronomical amount of evil, but it's accelerating. It's not slowing down. These folks are becoming more radical, more crazy, and all of that stuff. So lately, the Democrat Party has been faced with an obstacle. And the obstacle is what to do about Israel and Palestine. Now, at first, when Hamas attacked Israel, all the Democrats came out to the rescue. All of them. Yeah, you know what? This is ridiculous. This is a terrorist attack. And I did all that stuff, right? They came out and they paid lip service. And I believe some of the Democrat politicians that aren't the big mouthpieces really do support Israel. But then the leaders, the one that got the most influence, they are so power hungry. They are so, focused on globalism. Their opinion and support can be swayed. It can be swayed. See, when you don't have convictions, when you're not standing on something solid and you really don't believe anything, you can switch just like that, depending on if it benefits you or not. I mean, look at all the video footage we have of the Democrats back in the day supporting things. Obama, listen, I believe that marriage is between a man and a woman. Biden, I can't believe we're even talking about this. Marriage is between Hillary Clinton. I believe that marriage is between a man and a woman. Now, all of a sudden, everything's up in the air. All of these things that these folks used to yap about, when the climate change, when whoever is funding them, when whatever demonic spirit influences them, they will change just like that. And that includes their support for Israel. Now, when it comes down to the support of Israel, I look at this two ways. I look at it through the natural eye, and I look at it through the spiritual eye. As a Christian, that's why I said this is a message for and to Christians. I'm talking to y'all from the perspective of a Christian. So if you are just somebody who watched the channel and you're like, man, I don't believe in all this stuff or whatever, you might not like it, you might whatever, but hey, you might get some out of it too. But I look at this several ways. From a natural standpoint, I think that the United States has a great ally with Israel. I think that the United States should continue to support Israel in the ways that we have down throughout the years. I do think we should focus on the issues going on in the United States first, but we also should keep an eye on what's going on in Israel. Because see, as the Christian, a lot of what's taking place revolves around what's going on over there in the Middle East. See, as a Christian, you're going, yeah, I want us to be blessed here in the United States, but is our blessing here tethered to our overwhelming amount of support for Israel? See, that's a key question right there that you got to sit back and say, wait a minute, are are the United States have been supporting Israel for years. And as raggedy as we are sometimes, we are still blessed. But when you look at the Bible, any country that would attack or turn their back on Israel, God would reject that country and turn his back on that country. So some people will say, we don't need to support Israel at all. I look at supporting Israel as a physical and a spiritual investment. That's how I look at it. Yeah, even though some of the stuff, from a natural standpoint, people are like, oh, you know what, we shouldn't do this, we shouldn't do that. I'm going, yeah, but you know what? We need to make sure that we support God's chosen folks because we don't want God to turn on us. That's what we don't want. Now, that's from a biblical standpoint. But we also know biblically, at some point, all of these nations will start to turn against Israel. Hopefully, the United States will be one of the last to do it. But when you start seeing a lot of key people starting to shift a narrative, starting to leak out hints that they're not really quite happy with Israel, they're not really quite loyal to Israel. And don't get me wrong, even if Israel's acting a fool, you don't forsake Israel. That's from a biblical standpoint. Even if they got their issues, you don't go out there, you let God deal with Israel. But from a spiritual standpoint, you sit back and say, my loyalty is to God first and let God deal with Israel. And if God says, love them, we love them. It's that simple. So these folks right here are starting to be swayed by public opinion. Now, what do I mean? They came out talking about, we love Israel, we're going to support Israel and all this stuff. However, when the radicals that they have went out and influenced and created started yapping and started putting the pressure on them, which I sit and I think, why can't Republicans do this? Why is it that only the radical left can get results by showing up, protesting, whining, going all off on these politicians? And at first, people like Nancy Pelosi was like, I got away with you, you peasants, get away from me. But now, when these folks start saying, we ain't gonna vote for you, and they think that an election is at risk, now we're starting to see their true colors. Now we're starting to see that their loyalty only goes as far as their ability to acquire and retain power. And it's no different across the board with the Democrats and the left. As long as you support their policies, you're good. Let a transgender man or woman decide, you know what? I'm coming out and speaking against this. I think I made a boo-boo. I should have never did this. And I can't believe we're even entertaining kids. They'll roll that person right up under the bus. Let a gay man come out talking about, hey, I might be gay, but I'm a conservative when it comes down to, just policies and things like that, man. I'm not on some of that. They will roll that person under the bus. Let a black man like Clarence Thomas make his way all the way to the Supreme Court. They will celebrate color. They'll celebrate minorities and equity and equality and diversity. What? He's a conservative. Oh, well, then throw him back in the water. That fish is no good. He's a black-white nationalist. All of their loyalty revolves around everybody else's obedience and how it benefits the party. The party has no convictions. They have no moral compass. That means they can be blown all over the place depending on which way the weather's blowing. Which brings us to these latest changes towards Israel. Now, whether you have a strong opinion, towards Israel and what they're doing over there in Palestine or not, that's up to you. But I will say this. After seeing what took place and seeing what's taking place and hearing what's taking place, I am concerned. As a Christian, we have to also vote for policies that support our religious beliefs, not just our natural beliefs. See, naturally, I'm like, look, man, I want my freedom. I want my peace. I want, low taxes. I want no censorship. These are things that just from a natural standpoint, I'm like, these are important things to me as I live and breathe as a human in the flesh. But then when I start saying what's going to benefit me spiritually, I also got to listen to politicians and say, what are they saying? If is what they're saying lining up with my religious beliefs? Do I run the risk of them turning their back on key elements, very important elements of my religious beliefs? That's crucial. And many Christians, and this is why I say a message to and for Christians, many Christians did not vote like that. They didn't vote for their best interests when it came down to Hillary Clinton and when it came down to Creepy Sleepy. For some reason, many of them got caught up in Trump's a white nationalist, and therefore racism is the most important thing to me. Forget the biblical stuff. Forget all of the policies that the Democrats trash, the Bible over, forget that mess. We're going to vote on one thing. And it's kind of like black people too. So that's why I said, if you're black, you're going to benefit off this live stream. If you're a Christian, you'll benefit off this live stream. If you're Jewish, you'll benefit off this. If you're in the middle, only people that won't benefit off of this are the people who are perpetrating this. So with no further ado, let's get into what we're going to be talking about tonight. And then we're going to let somebody special come in and take it home. So let's get into this, all right? Starting off with something I played last night.
America's enemies must be terrified of this man's strength and mental faculties. You just know China, Russia, Iran are watching on, quivering in fear.
You remember that? Remember that from last night? Y'all see Joe? I bet you Iran is looking at Joe like, look, very, very strong. Yeah, we don't want to mess with America. Donald Trump made sure he blow us up if we retaliate and kill Americans. But that guy right there, he's way more tempting. That guy right there is way more intimidating than Donald Trump. The feeble guy walking around looking like he don't know where he's going. That guy. So they're going to ask him a question about Netanyahu.
Mr. President, do you agree with Chuck Schumer that Netanyahu should go?
Look, let's not judge too quickly. Let's see if we get an answer there to the journalist's question about whether the president supports his colleague Democrat Chuck Schumer's call for regime change in Israel. Regime change, not in Gaza, Israel. This clip should inspire supreme confidence in the commander-in-chief.
Looking side to side. You see? See? Don't know which way to go. He's like, which way do we go? Which way do we go? He should be a cartoon character. I mean, just straight up like, no. I mean, that's how he looks. So it's a head bobbing. Oh, no. Which way do we go? He don't even know where to go. But yet this guy is weighing in on policies overseas when it comes down to Israel. And we're about to expose him. So that guy right there, I guess he didn't have anything to say to the people. And listen to what Rita points out, which I said last night. Good point. Look at it.
Oh, dear God. If that man is fit to be president, then I'm a bluefin tuna. That is a man who should be enjoying his golden years having ice cream and pudding in a retirement facility, not the White House.
And I would even go one step further, Rita. I would say that man should be enjoying
change in Israel.
I would say that man needs to be enjoying his pudding in prison. That's what I would say. I would say that man needs to be enjoying his pudding down in Guantanamo Bay somewhere. But yeah, she mentioned something, calling for regime change.
Regime change, not in Gaza, Israel.
Not in Gaza, but in Israel. Now, isn't that ironic? You got to be kidding me. I don't hear nothing about them addressing Gaza and what's going on over there when it comes down to Hamas. For some reason, the attention now is starting to turn towards Israel. Now, look what's in the Democrat Party. If you ever want to see, well, wait a minute. Does this party line up with my religious beliefs? And if my religious beliefs, cause me to support the nation of Israel, what are these people talking about? And there's no better answer to that question than bringing out you-know-who, y'all. She was more like a doo-doo queen on a doo-doo screen. Listen to AOC clear it all up and give her excellent take on Israel, the Democrat socialist.
You gave a very forceful speech on the House floor Friday about the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. You called on President Biden to cut off U.S. military aid to Israel. I think we have a clip of part of what you said. Let's roll that.
If you want to know what an unfolding genocide looks like.
An unfolding genocide. Now, here's what's kind of funny about this. Did y'all see the clip when AOC was in the movies with her white boyfriend? The white devil. See, she was up there snuggling up and giving all of that white privilege to that white man that she's dating. Soul sister number one. Yeah, Jenny from around the block. Up in there with a pure snow white guy. She might as well have been up in there with you know who. Yes, man. Yeah. Yes, man. I figured that I'd cash in on my white privilege, man. It's me, Bob, the stereotypical white national. I said to myself, you know what? I might as well go play in some salt and pepper. Just for a little bit. Man. Dip in, dip out. Dip in, dip out. See what I'm saying, man? That's right, man. I figure since we got to tolerate all the blacks and the Latinos and the Muslim and all of them folks, might as well benefit off of my white privilege. Got me a nice Latino girl like that. She paid for the movie, too. See, I don't use my own money, okay? I use the Latinos' money, okay? My money too pure, okay? My money go to things like whiteness, white Bibles. There you go. Everything white. That's what is going on. So here she is up in there with a white man in the movies. And all of these radicals came out going after her about Israel. And she got mad at him, yelled at him. Yeah. And so now all of a sudden they was like, you need to call it a genocide. You gonna call it a genocide. And this is where it comes down to Democrats. They blow with the wind. They have no loyalty. Now, I can't expect her to have any loyalty because she never supported Israel in the first place. However, you know, here she is getting muscled, and look what the results are. They caught her coming out that movie theater. They demanded that she come out and call it for what it is, a genocide. And what did she just call it? A genocide.
Open your eyes. It looks like the forced famine of 1.1 million innocents. We must write our story in this moment of what it means and who we are as Americans.
Okay.
And our story must be not that we were good men who did nothing.
Now, clearly, not enough aid is getting in. Clearly, the conditions for the Palestinian people are horrific and much more needs to be done. Jeff?
Now, why? Why is that fake crapper? See, now here she is, stand by and do nothing. Okay, so now all of a sudden, clearly not enough aid is getting in to the Palestinians. Who's up in the mix with the Palestinians and all of that stuff? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Who's blending in with them? Who's running the Palestinians? See, who's occupying that area right about now and that has control of it? See, I mean, when you have a group of folks that has control militarily, and their style, their fighting style, is to blend in with everybody else, it makes it very difficult. It makes it very difficult to go in and just say, here's some treats for everybody, here's snacks, here's supplies, and this and that. It makes it difficult to go in and just target your enemy and wipe them out, you know, without wiping out some innocent folks. See, but my question then, if she's throwing out a statement like genocide, even fake crapper has a question.
Genocide is a word that has serious and specific connotations and allegations. It's defined by the intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group. So you, just to clarify here, you believe the Israeli military, the Israeli government are actively trying, they intend to destroy the Palestinian people, and not that what's happening is horrible, but it's happening because Israel is going after the terrorists of Hamas who attacked them on October 7th, and Hamas embeds within the civilian population?
Now, you got two types of devils in the Democrat Party. You got the obvious ones. See, when she's not even hiding it. She's straight coming out using the most radical terms, you know, the most drastic, extreme language trying to say about that it's the genocide. But then you have that other group of Democrats who still try to pretend that they support Israel. However, there's conditions. See, she's blatant. She's obvious. See, most of the other Democrats aren't going to come out and call it a genocide. So we already know where she stands. So if you ever want to know what type of people the Democrat Party is tolerating in their party, nobody's checking her. Nobody's coming up to her and saying, "Hey, listen, AOC, we saw you on fake news CNN, and you called what Israel's doing a full-blown genocide. Now, we might not agree with everything Israel's doing, but a genocide? We can't have, I mean, you represent the party, and that's inaccurate. You know why? Because, see, if it was a genocide, then that means they wouldn't have to go in and provide aid. If it was a genocide, they should just sit back behind the walls of Israel and just blow Palestine completely off the map. Why even risk soldiers going in trying to rescue folks and trying to deliver aid and package? Why tiptoe around all that mess? I mean, you got them all isolated. You got them all over there. They ain't got, they're no match for your military. Just wipe them out. Stop messing around with it. You think if some of those countries in Africa, when they start fighting with each other, if they would have had the means to wipe out a whole race of Africans, you don't think they would have done that? What was that big one? It was Rwanda. Yeah. I mean, if they would have been able to just wipe them all out, you think they'd have went in with machetes and guns and stuff? They would have said, let's sit back over here and blow them all off the map. Make it quick, simple, get rid of them. So here she is up here saying that she's defending this. It's a genocide.
Well, Jake, you're absolutely right. This word is extremely serious. It's one that's taken with extraordinary gravity.
No, it's not. You just threw it out there like it was nothing. You threw it out there because you was bullied into it. You threw it out there because the radical left demand that you say something like that. They demand you to be more radical, AOC. You ain't radical enough. So you better get your butt out there and use such inflammatory language like genocide. They do the same thing to Trump, but she ain't gonna get no pushback if she do it to Trump though. She come out and say Trump's committing genocide. He's killing kids. You know what? He hates everybody but his white friends. They could do all of that, and the rest of the Democrat Party is like, hey, that's the free game. But they are treading lightly when it comes down to Israel, trying to figure out how do we balance this? Because see, the most important thing to us is beating Trump, is winning an election. And these radical folks are pressuring us. Joe Biden's looking horrible up there in Michigan. Horrible. And these folks aren't going to come out and vote for him. So now, sorry, Israel, we were down with the cause for a minute, but now we got to go ahead and start shifting it, or at least making it seem like we're now pushing for a ceasefire. We don't quite agree with Israel's tactics and how they're dealing with this, but we can't give them a real solution. We can't give them a real solution. So let's finish hearing from bubble one before we go on to the next bubble.
And to me, the threshold of intent is a high one. It is a serious one and is not one that is made lightly. However, when we look at the precipice of what is happening with a forced famine of 1.1 million Gazans.
A forced famine. Now, does she not think if Israel could just divide those from Hamas and the Palestinians just easily? See, I mean, because you know what could happen? Hamas could just say, okay, here's what's going to happen. We're going to go ahead and let y'all bring in all the aid. We're going to go over here. We're going to go over here. And all of these folks over here, you could attend to. They could do that. They could do that. They could send back the hostages. They could do that. They could separate themselves and say, we're actually the soldiers and we're out here. Meet us on the battlefield so we could go knuckle to knuckle. They could do that. This way, Israel wouldn't have to risk accidentally killing civilians. They wouldn't have to worry about their supplies getting blocked or stopped or whatever. Do she really think that Israel is purposefully just trying to starve those people out? Or could it also be a hot mix of Hamas still blending in with them and kind of interrupting things? Because they know that's their safety. If they don't want to get bombed into oblivion, they need to go ahead and still blend in with the folks and draw sympathy from people like AOC, which they also have my sympathy. I'm not sitting here saying that Palestinians that have nothing to do with this should be starved, should be killed, should be none of that. I'm not saying that. And I wish that you didn't have an evil group of terrorists running that area. I wish that. But the reality is you do. And these dudes are playing for keeps. These dudes are masters when it comes down to trying to sway public opinion. They understand their war tactic. Let me draw sympathy by us blending in with common folks. And if they get hurt, then we launch a public relations campaign saying, look at this. And then she buys right into it and says things like you're starving them all out.
Where multiple governments, NGOs, and even officials within the United States State Department have stated themselves plainly that the Israeli government and leaders in the Israeli government are intentionally denying, blocking, and slow walking this aid and are precipitating a mass famine. I believe we...
Now, she's not giving no details. I mean, I'm sure there are strategic issues that's going on. Tactical things you got to worry about. Can we go in there without a terrorist attack? Can we go up in there, drop the supplies off without them being confiscated? Or just say, you know what, we're going to take these for ourselves and then make it look like the people ain't getting food. There's a lot of, issues that goes on that she's not privy to. Yeah, but she's out here pushing for this. And one thing I'm not hearing her do is push for Hamas to come out with their hands up. I'm not hearing that. See, yeah, she's worried about genocide. She's worried about all of that stuff, but she's not worried about a potential terrorist attack in the future if they don't deal with Hamas. But she would rather go ahead and say, you know what, leave them be. No, let them go. Let them go.
We have crossed the threshold of intent. It is horrific. I think it is extremely clear and it is extremely important that all people understand the difference between people and their governments, Israelis and the Israeli government, Palestinians from Hamas.
Well, that's a good point, because we're about to find out what is the sentiment of the people in Israel in regards to how Israel is dealing with Hamas. And if she really was supporting the Palestinians, she should be putting her foot verbally up Hamas's butt. She should be pointing the finger at the folks that have the Palestinian area captive. That's what she should be doing. She should be saying Hamas was wrong for the terrorist attack and they should release all of their prisoners and hostages, and they should come out with their hands up and say, our bad. That's what she should be saying, and let the Palestinians run their own area. But she ain't talking about that. It's all about Israel. Now, why is Israel drawing all of this hatred? From a biblical standpoint, they're going to be hated. At the end, a lot of people are going to turn against them. A lot of countries are going to turn against them. And look what's happening.
But what we are seeing here, I think, with a forced famine is beyond our ability to deny or explain away. There is no targeting of Hamas in precipitating a mass famine of 1 million people, half of whom are children.
Now, she's talking about that. You know what? There's no forced famine and all this stuff. No responsibility for Hamas. Did Israel go over there and do the R word to their women and kill kids and all that stuff? They didn't do that? Okay, Hamas flew in and started all this. So they came in, did this, and ran right back into the crowd, blended in. That's what they did. They have no responsibility. So at first, everybody was going Hamas, Hamas, Hamas. Now all of a sudden, you don't hear much about Hamas's role. Why is that?
As you point out, really important.
Oh, look at this one. Look at this one. We got a double dose of bubble. A double bubble. So here's bubble 2. Okay. Now, off grip, day 1, she was letting everybody know, I do not like Israel. She don't even like America. And I just wonder sometimes if maybe we should have just left her butt over in Somalia. That's what I wonder sometimes, since she hated America so much. But hey, let's go ahead and listen to her take on it.
One, you didn't vote for President Biden or for uncommitted in Minnesota's primary. The uncommitted vote was a big part of that primary in your home state. I wonder if the election were held today, would you vote for Joe Biden? Can you confirm that he would have your vote today?
Uh-oh.
Of course, democracy is on the line. We are facing down fascism.
And it's coming from you and your crew. Of course, democracy's on the line. We are facing down fascism. Boy, these people are hypocrites. But nonetheless, there it is. We already know, okay, look, the Democrat Party is above my religious convictions and all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Talk a big game. Going ahead and virtue signaling, talking about we're not going to vote for Joe Biden and we're going to withhold our support and all of that. But if it came down to it, we'll vote this dirty rascal back in office. But she got some other words to come along with that support.
And I personally know what my life felt like having Trump as the president of this country.
How did it feel like? Huh? Were they going around trying to capture you and send you back to Somalia? You were in Congress. And you left your husband, black husband, for a white husband. You left him for the white devil. Just like AOC. There it is. Yeah. How about you go get your white husband who you paid all that money to? Why don't you go get him and go back to Somalia and blend in with the natives? Blend in with the rest of the Muslims. You think your life will be more free there? You think you'll have more liberties? You think you won't have to fight for women's rights over there in Somalia? No. There's no oppression over there. No oppression. If her butt would have remained there, she would have known what real persecution is, what real sexism is, what real radicalism is. She'd have been like, let me keep this thing across my face and keep my mouth shut. Yeah, I can't be out here dating my white husband. Can't do that. But here she is over talking about life under Trump. Can't give you no real reasons why she's saying that. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, you sound like the rest of the dummies out there. That everything was horrible under Trump. Like what? There was lots of money being made, lots of peace in the Middle East. That was horrible. There was, what else was going on under Trump? The military was booming. Oh, wait a minute. I'm making your point. Hold on. Let me see. I'm going to come up with something. Give me a minute. Because he's a fascist.
And I know what it felt like for my constituents and for people around this country and around the world.
It was great for me.
Everything that we can to make sure that does not happen to our country again.
And do you think your constituents ultimately will come to the same conclusion that you did? You know, the tens of thousands who voted uncommitted as a protest against the president?
Well, the uncommitteds have been very clear. They want a change in policy, and we've seen that within 3 days.
And there it is. Who's running this country? That's what I want to know. Is it the radicals in this street? Apparently, they're running the Democrat Party. They created a monster. There it is. So now all of a sudden, yeah, you can write her off. She's one of the radical Democrats that we already know how she feels about Israel and all that stuff. But when it starts flowing upstream, when all of these radical folks are now showing up at Biden events, showing up at bug-eyed Schiff events, talking about free Palestine, free, slipped into that church down there where Joe Biden went in there talking about some, I don't see nothing wrong. What a little bump and grind. No, wait, that's not what they say. That was, hold on. I don't see nothing. Wait, I don't feel, no, wait. Darn it, can't remember. What is this? Free Palestine. Right up in the church. Harassing them and then showing them that we will withhold our vote. And what happens after that? Yeah, you will start to see a shift take place.
You had the vice president using the word ceasefire. Wow. We now have the president saying...
Well, look at that. The radical left are getting results from their raggedy politicians. Threaten their votes. And what happens? You start seeing language that they want to hear come out. Ceasefire. They weren't saying that in the beginning.
There is a red line if Israel goes into Rafah, that he is going to condition aid. So there has been a significant progress. I think it is the responsibility of every citizen
of this country that cares for the humanity of all to continue to push this administration to do what it can do to end the onslaught that Palestinians are living through every single day.
The Palestinians are living through every single day. So now, this chick sitting next to her with her eyes closed right there, if that was me, if you let this chick come up in Kevin's corner, I would stick that mic right over there, up against her nose like this, and I would be like, are you willing to denounce Hamas right now? Are you willing to call them terrorists? Would you say that right now on TV? Some people did something, and those people, I want to hear you denounce Hamas. I've been hearing a lot about Israel and all of that. What about Hamas? That's what I want to hear. Stick that mic right. You would see the mic come in from this side of the screen right there. Yep. Ease in from the side. You'll see me leave. I will leave right out of there. That would be empty. And then you would see from the side the microphone coming in. Just like that. Right up against her cheek. I want to know how you feel about Hamas, the ones who started all this.
No, she's a Democrat. They're going to vote for Biden. I'm not surprised about that. I am surprised that in the year of our Lord, 2024, there is a public relations agent for Hamas sitting in.
You telling me we've been infiltrated? I always said, if America falls, it will be from the inside out. They've been working on getting these people in our country that supports their radical agenda and cause for years. And because of our diversity, our equity, and greed from many politicians, they've managed to do it. And I ain't talking about just Iran, Hamas, all out. I'm talking about China. I'm talking about many countries that are hostile towards the U.S., but they understand the fundamental weakness, which is our leaders are power hungry and hungry for money. And so now all of a sudden, you get voices in here. Yeah. And then you get them using the same tactics that we use against conservatives over here, which is Marxist conflict theory, a radical agenda, demonization, all of this stuff, talking about everybody's a victim. Don't look at the people who started it. Don't look at the folks who egged it on. Yeah, look at the other folks and then call them radical somehow. They're radical. And so here, this guy he's kind of calling it out. He's like, man, they got a PR agent over here. Yeah, this chick right here, yeah, she might as well be sitting up there like, wait a minute, let me call over to Hamas right now and see let me call Lee Alatola and see what he wants me to say.
In the United States Congress, the reason Israel is not at that meeting is because Hamas will not provide a list of the living hostages. I didn't hear a word of concern for the hostages. You know, ceasefire.
Yeah, here comes the mic. Okay. Have you thought about where the hostages is? As she's looking at the mic out the corner of her eye. That's what I would be asking her. Can you send a message to your buddies in Hamas and ask them how many hostages are still alive or not? Surely they won't tell y'all that though, because then, that might compromise everything. Actually, none of them are alive. Okay, good. Let's go in and kill everybody. See, but nonetheless, she's not inquiring about those people. She cares nothing about that.
She said, don't happen magically. Well, there was a ceasefire in place on October the 6th. And who broke it on October the 7th?
Wow. Who broke it? So you're telling me it was a ceasefire before and they broke it? So should we trust that if we start another ceasefire, which I'm sure Hamas wants right now? See, they're relying on people like her. They're relying on weak Democrats. They're relying on public opinion shifting. They're relying on that. So we hit and run, wait it out, use a bunch of propaganda and idiots over here to change public opinion, then use our radical folks in the streets of America to go ahead and force the Democrat Party to change policies in regards to their support to Israel, so we can go ahead and say, now that that's done, we'll wait it out a little longer for our next attack. Do you think Hamas is going to honor that if they didn't honor the first one? Or would they gather themselves, use that time to go ahead and say, now, what's our next attack? You think they would be done? You think they'd be like, whoo, all right, what is even Steven, right? Everybody good? Let's all shake. I mean, these people are naive. They're naive, and it burns me up. But from a biblical standpoint, I understand what's going on. There is going to be a problem in the Middle East at some point, and it will escalate. But I don't think we're quite there yet. But I can see the writing on the wall, and who we vote for is important. Yes, it might go down, and it will go down someday. But as long as I'm here, and as long as God has not wrapped it up, I'm not going to support people who can't see that. I'm not going to support people who are doing things to usher that in. I believe that these end time prophecies and all of that, the whole setting is being laid by the radical left. So much evil comes through the radical left. It's unbelievable. I ain't talking about just what's going on in Israel. I'm talking about all kind of stuff that you look and say, wow, biblically, I see that the Bible talked about that, and now we seeing it. And it's all coming from the radical left. Now, am I saying that folk on the right are all super saints and spiritual? No, I got problems myself. You know what I'm saying? But in spite of all of that, one thing we are not out there doing is pushing such perversity openly and embracing it and just blatantly doing it and attacking anybody who don't embrace it. The radical left is trying to shove all types of evil down the throats of people. It used to be you kept your evilness to yourself. If you got some evil thing you do, if you got some issue, you keep that mess to yourself. And you sit back and you keep it quiet. You were embarrassed of it. You kept it quiet. But the radical left has introduced so much crap into our society. And they're not just saying live and let live. They're saying live and make everybody else live like us. That's demonic. That right there is the stuff that you sit back and read the Bible and say, this is what they're going to be doing in the last days. You think in the last days after the rapture takes place, you're going to have folks be able to talk about stuff like transgenderism? These folks right now are chomping at the bits when it comes down to getting to people that disagree with them. And I'm going to tell you right now, if they take the reins off of them, you think they would hesitate? You think they would feel sorry if a Christian was beaten in the street? You think they would feel sorry if somebody who disagrees with kids having their genitals cut off? You see how angry and aggressive the transgender community is? I saw a video of this one dude. They were out there, I guess some college students for something for life. They were all marching, just mind their own business. This transgender supporter ran right through him, just started swinging on him, punching him, and everything. But yet, it's the right. The right are the ones that are the greatest threat. We're the radical ones. Nobody took that human to jail. Now, imagine if I would have ran in there with my big, fat American hat on, and start swinging and ripping down the dang on pride flag. You know how quick they'd have threw me under jail? Under the jail. All right, we give him at 35 years. He's a radical extremist. But them, no, they celebrate that mess.
I cannot believe, honestly, what I heard out of that interview. What I want are for those hostages to come home. And I want somebody out there to show just a little bit of remorse that Hamas broke the ceasefire, raped and murdered horrifically women,
That's in the
all
past.
kinds of people. That's it. How about a little bit of concern for those folks? That's what I'm looking for.
See, that's in the past. That's in the past, See, so easily we forget. But the folks in Israel haven't. And see, that's the problem. I'm thinking even about the U.S. Maybe we should take terrorism a little more serious ourselves. Maybe we should be on the watch. Maybe we should be looking to stop any future aggression or terroristic attacks taking place. But what are we doing? Letting our guard down, being stupid, being politically correct. That's what we're doing. Opening up our border and letting everybody come across because they're worried about acquiring power. So maybe we should be a little more alert. But hey,
And I just want to be clear, when I said a second ago about not pointing fingers, we all know that Hamas is the one that started this, and Hamas is the one that has to come to the table. The question is now, how do we get to a ceasefire? And that means that all the parties in the region are going to have to be present to make that happen.
Bill and Omar there took this opportunity and your very important platform.
Listen to this.
To say that Hamas was the good actor here. Hamas was ready for this meeting. And based on some conspiracy theory, our, Jake Sullivan, American representative, is maybe lying about what Israel wants to do and Israel's involvement. Look, I would not go to someone who is a supporter of the BDS movement for their advice on what Israel should do. Or what the U.S. should do when it comes to Israel. She's trafficked in anti-Semitic tropes that seek to strip Israel and the Jewish people of their sovereignty, their identity. I don't trust her opinion on this issue at all. And listen, there are important voices for the Palestinian people. She's not one of them.
Oh, and this came out of CNN. Oh, my. Which is so true. And the second part about what they were talking about is, wait a minute. How is this going to end? Like, what is a peace fire? What does that mean? Like what happens to the men who flew in on those parachutes and killed all those innocent folks? I mean, if you have a peace fire, what's talked about? Do they just let those war crimes go? I mean, do the leaders of Hamas or Palestine say, all right, now look, no more retaliation. We came, we killed, we left. Now we got a peace fire. Everybody, let's break even. I know that if my family members were killed by those guys, I'd be like, where are they? Who went ahead and greenlit that? Did you support that? You're negotiating right now. I mean, you know where these people are? Can we get our hands on them? That's what I want to know. Or should we just forget about it? That's my question. Should we just trust that those men that ran back in that area over there are never going to repeat it again, and they're sorry for it? They learned their lesson. See, these are the things I think about. And I'm sure the people in Israel is thinking about the same thing. And I'm sure those terrorists are banking and hoping that Israel just says, fine, we're getting pressured. The folks are turning on us. They're saying we now committing genocide. So let's just call it a day. And they'll go, whew, man, we got away with it. Shoot. I mean, I thought they was going to keep hunting for us until they found us and got revenge on what we did to innocent people. But boy, we went ahead and let all the idiots muscle them out of their campaign to get in there and dig out the source of the problem so it don't reoccur. You know how I feel about toothaches. You tolerate that mug and don't get down in there and start digging out all that mess. Slap a root canal on it, it will come back to bite you. And Israel knows that. That attack was too egregious for them to just say, okay. And people forgot how bad it was. And then you bring on people like this in Michigan, and this is why Biden and the Democrats are starting to turn, besides the devil, too.
Vice President Harris calling in more forceful terms for a ceasefire.
Listen to this.
The president announced during the State of the Union that the military would be building a port in Gaza to deliver aid. He has been extremely critical of Netanyahu. He was caught on a hot mic. I'm sure you heard that.
Critical of Netanyahu. Y'all hear that? Hey, Christians, just voting for the Democrats. Whether you love Netanyahu or not, he is the president of Israel, and he's doing everything right now to protect Israel. That's what he's doing. And one thing he also is doing is he's honoring what the Bible talks about when it comes down to Israel giving up their land. See, you don't give up the land that God gave you. Now, like I said, that's my religious understanding and beliefs, okay? I don't care what people talk about from a natural standpoint. Well, they could share it and all this. No, if you understand the biblical implications of what's going on over there, there will not be peace. And when there is peace, it won't last. You don't want to be around when Israel and Palestine shake hands and there's peace and they start resurrecting temples and stuff like that. The man who shakes their hands and says, see, I got peace in the Middle East, you will find out that man right there got bad intentions. So up until that happens, I'm not expecting these two groups of people to say, all right, let's let bygones be bygones. But I do know one thing. There is one group of people that is not sitting back saying, we don't even want to live with y'all. We don't look at y'all as humans. We look at you guys as infidels, and we would like to see you wiped off the earth. Because if that's the case, Israel could have done that a long time ago. But then you got the radical side over here saying, we want these folks removed. We want them wiped off. Wiped off. So now Israel got to err on the side of caution. No, we're not here to go ahead and bend and negotiate and all that stuff, because it's not in good faith. This is how America has been getting played by Iran and many other countries. Sitting back, giving a little, yeah, what else y'all want? Y'all gonna behave from now on, right? Okay, so how much money y'all need from us? Y'all, we give y'all some more money. Now don't be out there doing stuff, okay? Oh, done with it, done with it. No, give us maybe $250 million on airplane. Then we stop. Don't worry, we're not to make no nuclear bombs. No, not at all. Until you leave, then we start to fire up reactors. There you go. Oh, what? You want to see nuclear facility? No, not yet. Give us 30 days, okay, to clean up. Yes. We're stupid. Trump knew it. So let's continue.
What have you thought of what have been significant rhetorical changes, at least? Has that gone anywhere?
Certainly, pressure works. You see that there is a difference in tone where there's now a recognition of Palestinian suffering. But what I would tell you is that words are not enough. What we want to see is actual change in policy.
Words are not enough. What we want to see is actual change in policy. We want to drive America's policies and attitude and sentiment towards Israel. These radical folks who is not even acknowledging that Hamas is responsible for this, not even talking about who broke the ceasefire, not even asking about those hostages. Their only concern is making sure there's no real retaliation and accountability. Because, see, they're blaming it on the Palestinian folks. Yeah, they want you to focus on them. But they're not focusing on the accountability for the people who started this and drugged those Palestinian folks into this mess. So this guy, it's not enough. It's not enough. We want the U.S. to turn their back completely on Israel. That's what I really want, but I can't say that. So I'm just going to pretend I'm focusing on women and children and stuff.
Want to see actually holding Benjamin Netanyahu and the most right-wing government in Israel's history.
Here it is. Y'all hear? Did y'all hear? This is how it comes in. Radicalism always comes in by saying right-wing, far-right extremists. They always come in and use that Marxist conflict theory, man. Nobody's out here saying, well, we're right-wing. We're the right-wing extreme. Oh, y'all labeled us that? I had no idea that I was extreme because I wanted to protect my borders. I had no idea I was extreme because I want to support the First and Second Amendment. I had no idea that I was extreme because I don't want kids to, have operations and men to be in female bathrooms. I had no idea I was right wing. Y'all just came up with this to demonize us and make it seem like we're out there like all of these white nationalists, all of these hell Hitler folks. So now he's using the tactics that the Democrats have taught them how to use.
To account. You heard Senator...
And Trump did say that. Trump said, hurry up. And you know why? There's some wisdom in that. Trump sees the writing on the wall. He is great when it comes down to the climate. See, Israel has been kind of slow walking it because they are trying to, make sure that they don't just do something and overcommit to the point where every nation go, oh man, that was too much. Y'all went to see. So they're trying to walk that thin line and tiptoe and go in and try to dissect and this and this and that. But sometimes you got to go in there and just cut it out. You know what I'm saying? Sometime when somebody busts open the doors, all right, we need a trachea with this guy right here is bleeding. We got no time to do a whole bunch of x-rays. You see the blood squirting out. You got to get in there and get it out quick. So when it comes down to this, Trump is saying, man, I hope y'all can go ahead and deal with these folks and to a point where y'all feel comfortable. And see, this is the problem. Israel, no matter what we're all saying, they have to feel comfortable enough to say, now we don't need to go in here and find, we got the folks. We've made sure we don't fear now that, okay, we abandoned this early. Now we got to look over our shoulder. See, they have to feel comfortable with that. And I think they do need to go ahead and say, all right, how can we deal with this a little more aggressively and try to beat the storm that's coming? Because the Democrats and the radical left is trying to change the atmosphere. They're trying to change the support. And the longer this drags out, the better shot they have in doing that. So I understand what Trump is saying. So let's listen to what this guy's saying.
Schumer's remarks today on the floor demonstrating that pressure works, calling for the distancing.
Demonstrating that pressure works. So, yep, you're right about that. Because the left has no spine. How they going to stand for something and they ain't got no spine? All it takes is a whole bunch of folks saying, free Palestine, and we ain't voting for y'all. Okay, your regime change needs to take place. So it's that easy to get these folks to sell out.
The replacing of Benjamin Netanyahu as the prime minister, as well as calling upon President Biden and utilizing our ability and our tool to restrict military funding as a means of trying to find ourselves towards a just solution for the Palestinian people.
And what is a just solution?
Well, you mentioned what Senator Schumer said, the Senate Majority Leader, calling for new elections in Israel. Would that make a difference to you? Do you think it would make a difference who leads Israel in the type of war that would be prosecuted? And how much of a difference does that make to you that he specifically is calling for that?
It makes a lot of difference because we now know that we can muscle these fools. We now know that all we got to do is whine enough, show up at their events and threaten not to vote for them, and they will sell pretty much anybody out. That's why we now know that we could get them out there looking wishy-washy, and guess who's enjoying this from afar? Hamas, Iran. They're like, it's working. Very good, very good, very good. Working. Yeah, we got useful idiots over here now. So the folks that were using radicals as useful idiots to go ahead and destroy Trump and all of that stuff are now the useful idiots. They're now the useful idiots out here, pretty much doing PR for Hamas. And so this guy right here, I want to know what's the solution.
We have been sounding the alarm about Benjamin Netanyahu for over 2 decades, knowing that he is a fascist and a war tyrant and a war criminal. And he has been one of the individuals who...
What makes him a fascist? I mean, they call Trump a fascist. These words mean nothing coming out of the radical left. Everybody's a fascist. Everybody's a war criminal. I mean, Trump's committing genocide. This genocide against transgenders. Everybody's committing genocide. They just use words so recklessly to really make an argument without providing evidence. So you take everything they say with a grain of salt. They use these words as weapons, not truth. They use words as weapons, not truth.
Who gloats about being able to stall peace and prevent the establishment of a...
To stall peace and prevent what?
Palestinian state. So certainly it makes a difference.
Oh, a Palestinian state. That's what it comes down to. Now, this is what I mean by Christians need to also vote their best interests. There cannot be. Now, I know some people who are not Christians might disagree with me, but from a biblical standpoint, there can't be a two-state solution. Can't be a two-state solution. See, when it comes down to the radical Islamic group of folks in Israel, they're like cats and dogs. They've been fighting for centuries. It's in the bone. And a lot of it comes from the leadership. Okay, the people who run Hamas and Palestine, do you think that if they get a two-state solution, they would be satisfied? See, this is what people don't see biblically, and Christians need to be looking at this. When you get politicians pushing for a two-state solution, you got to understand how that fits into biblical prophecy. You can't just look at it from a natural eye. From a natural eye, sounds fair. From a natural eye, sounds good. But from a spiritual eye, you go, uh-oh. If that happens, it's a problem. Because radical Islam leaders will never not be radical. they're always going to look at it through the most radical lens when it comes down to the Jews, which is these folks are infidels and must be wiped off the planet. The people might not feel that way. I'm sure there's Palestinians that's going, man, we can all get along. But the leaders, you think they're going to surrender over Palestine to just the people? You think that's what they're going to do? You think Iran ain't going to have nothing to do with Palestine? They just going to let them go ahead and become a democracy? You think that? And you know what burns me up? They're calling Netanyahu and the Jews, or Netanyahu and this crew, radical, extremists, far right, but not folks who run Palestine or Hamas. They're not radical. They're not. How about all of these women go over there talking about, I'm going to wear a halter top and I'm going to walk around free and I'm going to get 18 abortions at 9 months. And then I'm going to go ahead and be out in the middle of the street protesting. These folks are way more extremely right than Israel and us over here, who they lie down the far right. But they never get labeled as that. Yeah. Some of those folks, you go out without your face covered up. So yeah, see what happens then, ladies. See what happens then. Ilhan Omar. But yet, the extremists and the fascists over here in the U.S. This is fascinating how they're able to disassociate themselves and disconnect, compartmentalize all of that radicalism that's coming out of Hamas and leaders in Palestine and Iran and all of that. But yet, when it comes down to the U.S., they're talking about, they're rolling back women's rights. But we're not going to say nothing about Hamas, how they treat women. And we're not going to say nothing about that. I really think sometimes we need to just grab a whole bunch of them and just run an experiment, a get right program. Drop them off in some of the most radical Islamic countries ever. The most oppressive regimes ever. Just drop them off there, guys and girls, and let them marinate over there to find out what real extremism looks like. Idiots.
With who leads the Israeli government. But what's important is that while the elections could be called for, elections can go into process, that doesn't change what's happening on the ground today. This is why it's extremely important for President Biden to utilize the leverage that he currently has and restricting military aid and being forceful in his calls not for a temporary ceasefire, but a permanent and lasting ceasefire.
Not a temporary ceasefire, a permanent and lasting. Okay, so any retribution? I mean, I didn't hear you mention that Hamas should give up those hostages. I didn't hear you mention that, buddy. You talking about ceasefires? You putting the cart before the horse. I mean, has Hamas come out and recognized that they were wrong? I mean, do they have a spokesman that's going, yeah, they shouldn't have did that. That was all bad, and we shouldn't have took these hostages right here. And you know what? We're willing to give them back as a show of good faith. We're at least willing to tell you how many we got and then did we kill any of them? We're going to go ahead and come out with that information. That's what we're going to do. Nothing. He's not asking one thing from Hamas. Not one thing. Ilhan Omar. Not one thing. You got stupid Bubble One. Not one thing from Hamas. Everything. Israel. 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 Why? Why are they got this deep down hatred for Israel? Interesting.
Immediately. Those are the things that we're looking for from our president, because that can make the difference today. Each morning we wake up and what we find is a kill count. How many innocent men, women, and children had been killed?
I want to put my foot up this young whippersnapper's butt. How many young men innocent and what? Not one thing. No responsibility for Hamas. You don't wake up thinking about that, buddy? You wake up thinking about all the innocent young women and that, but you're not thinking about all of those folks that was just enjoying their lives, out having a good time, and folks parachuted in and did some of the most horrific things that you could think of to innocent people. And that man done forgot about it like it ain't never even happened. Now he wants you to focus on, unfortunately, the collateral damage from Hamas. That's what it comes down to. Those Palestinians are collateral damage from Hamas, who did this and ran right back into that area and occupied it. They got their own people captive and using them to make sure that Israel can't put their foot all the way up their butts. And here he is talking about the innocent men and women that didn't even recognize the innocent men and women killed in the initial attack.
By the Israeli government, by the IDF, utilizing American manufactured weapons. And we need to halt that immediately.
And here he is over in office somewhere up in Michigan. What are the people in Michigan doing? This is the infiltration that I'm talking about. If the U.S. falls, it's from the inside out. But guys, here we go.
Well, I hope by the end of the weekend.
That guy right there. Him with the ice cream cone. They asking him about a ceasefire and what he's doing about it. And let's take him seriously as he eats his ice cream cone, talking about he hopes that some stuff gets done by the end of the weekend.
The end of the weekend. At least my national security advisor tells me that we're close. We're close. Not done yet. And my hope is by next Monday we'll have.
Man, I want to shove that ice cream right on his nose. I want to go and just say right on his face. I hope that by the end of this weekend. Now, if I'm Netanyahu, I'm looking at this bumbling fool right here, trying to tell me how to run my country after a horrific attack that took place. And here he is over there, eating ice cream.
And that's where our Rachel Scott caught up with her. She began by asking the vice president.
Well, good. See, man, now the adults are in. Let's hear what Chameleon Kamala has to say, Christians, because I'm sure she's going to support Israel, which should make you feel good about voting for them, okay?
About Israel's military offensive in Gaza.
Why was it important? Leader Schumer was very blunt in his remarks on the Senate floor. He called Netanyahu an obstacle to peace. He's calling for new elections in Israel. The president called that a good speech. What did he mean by that? Does the administration believe that there needs to be new elections in Israel?
Well, I will not speak for Senator Schumer, but we are very clear that that is on the Israeli people to make a decision about when they will have an election and who, of course, they elect to lead their government. That's for them to say.
Do you believe that Netanyahu is an obstacle to peace?
I believe that we have got to continue to enforce what we know to.
So, guys, listen to what they're starting to do. Netanyahu is an obstacle to peace. When did that come up? When did that narrative drop? You hear that? They're not asking, do you think Hamas is an obstacle to peace? Do you think the folks that's running Palestine over there and using these people, you think they're an obstacle to peace? You think Hamas breaking the ceasefire is an obstacle to peace? You think Hamas not negotiating to get those hostages released is an obstacle to peace? Do you think that? But instead, it's Netanyahu. He's an obstacle to peace. And still nobody's even telling us what peace looks like. There will be no peace in the Middle East. Okay, so here they are, our obstacle to peace. It's amazing, these people.
Should be the priorities in terms of what is happening in Gaza. We've been very clear that far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. We've been very clear that.
You hear the drunk, we've been very clear that many of, wait, where are my Ukrainians? Okay, wait, no, wait, okay. Palestine is a country. No, wait, no, it's not a country. It's a place. Wait, the people. Is it the people? You know what? Never mind. We've been very clear. What did Joe say again? What did Joe say? The drunk aunt speaking.
Israel and the Israeli people and Palestinians are entitled to an equal amount of security and dignity. And frankly, we have been very focused on also getting the hostages out and getting aid in.
Netanyahu appears to just be flat out ignoring President Biden's warning about an offensive in Rafah. Is that a red line for your administration?
Now here it is. See, she got to tread lightly. Now, before the radical folks start threatening not to vote for these people, this would have been a quick answer. Nah, man, we ain't putting no restrictions on Israel. Israel has a right to defend itself. Let them go ahead and do what they got to do to dig up all of that terrorism. Get it all out. Dang on it. Back then, it would have been a nice, quick, swift answer. But now that the radical left has threatened them?
We have been clear in multiple conversations and in every way that any major military operation in Rafah would be a huge mistake. Let me tell you something. I have studied the maps.
You ain't studied nothing. You don't do your homework, Chameleon. We all heard about you. Yeah, your own staff be mad like she doesn't read anything. She doesn't. That's why she gets out there and sounds dumb when she talks. Talking about, Venn diagrams. My staff, I love Venn diagrams. The ones that, the ones. And you didn't study nothing. You didn't even know where you were at when you went over in Europe. But here she is talking about, I studied the map. So now she's talking about, we've been very clear. Only thing clear is that you guys are backtracking your support for Israel because you're scared you're going to lose an election.
There's nowhere for those folks to go. And we're looking at about 1.5 million people in Rafah who are there because they were told to go there, most of them. And so we've been very...
And I'm sure just those people went there and Hamas stayed where they were at. Left themselves exposed to Israel's attacks, right? They didn't go, well, let's just move with the flock. They didn't do that. As the people went, they just said, let's go with them. Let's go with them. Blend in. Blend in. Makes it hard to still deal with them if they're still moving with the crowd. And here she is talking about some, if they go in. So let's go ahead and let them just hide behind innocent folks and get away with it, right?
Very clear that it would be a mistake to move into Rafah with any type of military operation.
So what's clear about that? What you gonna do? See, this is where it comes down to. What are we going to do as a country that supports Israel? Let's just say we wasn't giving Israel no money, no weapons. Israel said, man, we don't need none of that stuff. Stay out of our business. Let us handle this. What would the U.S. do? Now we're up here selling wolf tickets. They done said we've been very clear on a whole bunch of stuff, and folks went right past it. We're very clear, the line in the sand, if Russia goes in, Russia blew past that. We're very clear on the don't come to the border. They went right in. All of this stuff. So now we're throwing out lightweight threats to Israel, not Hamas. Not Hamas.
A mistake, but would there be consequences if he does move forward? Well, we're going to take it one step at a time, but we've been very clear in terms of our perspective on whether or not that should happen.
Are you ruling out that there would be consequences from the United States?
I am ruling out nothing.
There you go, America. There you go, Christians. There you go. Now, that's why I said I'm talking to the Christians. Yeah, Christians that, are keeping their ear to the street and their eyes open should be seeing this stuff and saying, this is starting to fall right into that book of Revelations type stuff right there. I mean, where they're starting to turn on Israel. And where's this hatred coming from all of a sudden? But then those that are asleep, the ones that are just rushing out voting for these people, and I'm saying, do you see what they support? Are you listening to what they're saying? This woman just straight up said, I ain't gonna leave nothing off the table. You're talking about Israel, not Hamas. You understand that, right? And you up here talking about consequences, and I ain't leaving that off the table. Who's the enemy here? Who's the villain? All I've been hearing is about Israel, not Hamas, coming out of Americans, politicians.
Well, I don't know exactly what the president meant.
Thank you, BB.
But if he meant by that, then I'm pursuing private policies against the majority, the wish of the majority of Israelis, and that this is hurting the interests of Israel, then he's wrong on both counts.
Oh, so wait a minute. We've been hearing all of these folks talk about the people. The people don't even want this stuff. It's all about BB and his radicalism. He's doing it all by himself. And we sitting back going, BB, stop. We willing to forget about what they did to our citizens, BB. We willing to live with the threat of them returning and doing the same thing again. All we concerned about is peace right now, BB. That's all we want. Yeah, that's what they want us to think. That's what all the folks over there in Israel is feeling. The only person that wants to go in and get these folks are BB and his buddies, BB and the band.
Number one, these are not my private policies.
Oh, they're not?
Only. They're policies supported by the overwhelming majority of the Israelis.
What?
They support the action that we're taking to destroy the remaining terrorist battalions of Hamas.
Wait a minute. But it ain't about the overwhelming support of the people of Israel. No, it's about the overwhelming lack of support from our radical left over here in the US that don't want to vote for Democrats if they don't call you a right-wing extremist genocidal maniac. That's what it's about, BB. So now we got to make it seem like you out on a solo mission. Out there just winging it, man. The people don't want that. Yeah, they don't want restitution.
They say that once we destroy the Hamas, the last thing we should do is put in Gaza, in charge of Gaza, the Palestinian Authority that educates its children towards terrorism and pays for terrorism. And they also support my position that says that we should resoundingly reject the attempt to ram down our throats a Palestinian state.
There you go. And that's what the U.S. is starting to do. The people you vote for, you're about to find out what they ultimately want. Let's see if it lines up with your biblical beliefs. See, they're about to leak out what they really want. So now Bibi is smart. Okay, he's not even a Christian. He's rolling with the Old Testament. He's wise enough to know that don't give up the land. Don't let your guard down, because if you think that we're going to go ahead, create a Palestinian nation, and Hamas ain't going to be involved in that, they ain't going to have radical leadership over there, they ain't going to have Iran digging into that, messing with it. If you think they just going to get along, get over there and say, wow, whew, now we got ourselves a state. We're good. We can all live in harmony now. You all live in harmony. You're foolish. Bibi understands the implications of that.
That is something that they agree on, and it's something that I think is also for the interests of Israel, because the majority of Israelis understand that if we don't do this, what we'll have is a repetition of the October 7th massacre, which is bad for Israel, bad for the Palestinians, bad for the future of peace in the Middle East. So the attempt to say that my policies are my private policies that are not supported by most Israelis is false. The vast majority are united as never before, and they understand what's good for Israel.
Thank you. So do you see how, like, that was an intelligent explanation and approach? I understood that. I'm thinking, if I'm the leader of a country and that took place, and the folks who did it are still on the loose and a threat, I'm thinking, yeah, you think we should, I don't care what our dumb politicians who've been compromised over here, that has no moral compass, that are really flirting with fascism, radicalism, and all of that stuff. If I'm sitting back saying, man, y'all don't know what's going on over here. Y'all didn't get attacked like that. Y'all didn't give up on bin Laden. Y'all didn't just say, well, you know, we've been hunting for the guy for like 8 years. Let's just go ahead and call it quits. I think we've exhausted all our resources. As long as they had it in their head, we got to get this dude. It's our mission. He hurt our innocent folks on purpose. So we got to get him. But now they want Israel to just throw the towel in, and then not only throw the towel in, but say, now, what y'all want again from this? Y'all want a two-state solution? Y'all ain't going to be acting a fool, though, right? Y'all going to be straight up a democracy, right? Please. So there's no other person that can maybe give us some more clarity than Mark Levin. Mark Levin is about to tell us how the left is horrific for not only Israel, not only American citizens, but for minorities, for everybody. The radical left is trash. So let's hear what Mark got to say about it.
Is playing out in our country and our politics. It's very, very important. It actually goes beyond Israel and Judaism.
See, this is the part of the show where everybody can get something from it. You ain't got to be a Christian. Here we go.
The horrors of Hamas and so forth. It's the Democrat Party. If you criticize the Democrat Party, you will be attacked as a racist, as an anti-Semite, as a bigot, as a homophobe, or whatever it is.
Oh, and don't forget, radical extremist right-winger, okay, that we never labeled ourselves as. That is true, Mark. Why are they doing that? That's Marxist conflict theory, right? Bubble wrap yourself, and then label your opponents as all these evil things with no justification, no proof, none of that stuff. Just say that's what they are. They are, see? And use your resources to convince the folks in the middle who are innocent bubbleheads that, yep, those folks are evil, they're radical. And now our enemies overseas have learned this style. They've learned this technique, man. They like, we've been watching the U.S. do this to their own people forever. You think we ain't peeping out the Democrats from over here in Palestine and over here in Iran and China, we use that same stuff to divide your country. As y'all use it just to get in office and hate on Trump, we use the same stuff. So let's continue.
The Democrat Party, as I've demonstrated the last few weekends, is a totalitarian party. That's the mindset, to try and imprison their political opponents, to try and trigger a coup against people they disagree with and say Israel. Wide open borders, the purpose of which is to change the citizenry to accommodate the Democrat Party's agenda. And
they sound pretty evil to me, Mark. You're throwing out all kind of stuff. Those are evil traits. Those are evil traits. Show me the other stuff. Show me the other stuff, Mark.
On and on and on. Now we have a situation here in America,
okay,
which has played out right in front of our eyes over the last 6 months.
But can you see it? That's the question. Do you got your spiritual glasses on? And if you don't wear spiritual glasses, do you got your common sense glasses on? What are you talking about, Mark? Here we go.
And that is, since the Israelis were attacked on October 7th by subhuman terrorists who call themselves Hamas.
No, they're just undocumented citizens.
Israel has come under attack diplomatically, publicly, economically, and even militarily now.
Wow.
Not by the United States of America, but by the Democrat Party that runs the executive branch and pretty much the media. That is the Democrat Party.
Oh, my. Mark, you might be onto something. Huh. So, most folks in America, if you were to go around and ask them, probably is either indifferent or they probably do support Israel. But it's the loud mouths. It's the loudest ones, the radical ones that's willing to go and show up and act a fool that really sways what these politicians do. So let's see what you're talking about here, Mark.
And what are they doing? Well, I'll tell you what they're doing.
What are they doing?
First of all, was Donald Trump right? Was he right when he said if you're Jewish, basically, you vote for Democrats, you're voting against yourself?
Oh, my! Donald Trump said if you're Jewish, and you know what's crazy about that? It applies across the board. I was thinking from day one, when I start talking to Christians that was like, man, I'm voting for Hillary Clinton. I'm voting for, and I'm going, these people hate Christianity. You do realize that. You know Joe Biden, everything about their policies. You know how many of your biblical beliefs you have to throw out the window to vote for these people and their policies. So you're just going to let accusations of racism make you overlook every policy that they have. Name one policy Trump proposed or has that make you have to compromise your religious beliefs. None. But yet folks was going out and vote for these people. Same thing with black folks. I'm going, you really going to vote for the Democrat Party? Nothing about the Democrat Party supports black folks. You do know that, right? They'll tell you that. They'll say it to your face. They'll come in your neighborhood, eat fried chicken with you, get on your black TV shows and say, hey, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Yeah, roll on the scene with hot sauce in their purse. Go to black churches talking about, I don't feel no ways of time. They'll do that for you, black folks. Leave your neighborhoods raggedy, violent filled, education system destroyed, and dump a whole bunch of illegal immigrants in your neighborhood and tell you don't like it. Now go out and vote for me again. And yet black people do it. I'm going, people in the U.S. are voting against their own self-interest. Even white liberals, I'm going, what are you doing? Why are you voting for these people? They're killing you with the economy, inflation, taxes, regulations, the border. But you know what? We're fighting against fascism and the tyranny of Donald Trump. He's a racist. And I'm going, you're a moron. You're moronic. Yes, that's right. Yeah, you can't get more moronic than you. Unbelievable. People are voting against their self-interest.
Voting for anti-Semitism, you're voting against Israel? Really? What was so wrong with that statement? I said it myself, so other conservatives and patriots who see what's taking place. You literally are going to have people standing in line, Jewish people, behind other people who are talking about river to the sea and the obliteration of Israel, voting for the same candidate. How can that be?
How can that be? Jews in America. I mean, it's unreal to me that some of these folks will bend the knee to the radical left and not even think. They're not seeing it through the spiritual eye. They're not realizing that these people are using these tactics, these bullying tactics, these accusations, the yelling, the whining, all of the stuff that they're doing. And that sounds like a solution. These people are redirecting your focus away from who started this mess. They're doing the bidding of Hamas, and these people are too weak to see it. And then they go right out there and get muscled into voting for the same people who will turn their back on Israel. It's crazy to me. I'm like, man, how can Jewish people vote for these people? How can veterans vote for them? Like, I can go down the line when it comes down to people that the Democrat Party have forsaken. Veterans. If you're a veteran, how in the world can you go and vote for these people when they're giving money to illegal immigrants and veterans are sleeping outside? How can you do that? I don't understand. If you're a police officer, how in the world can you go down there and say, all right, Joe Biden's my guy? How can you do it? When you know they're going to come out, police are white nationalists, and you know what? The police need to be abolished soon as they get in office. It's ridiculous. If you are a first responder, how can you go down there and vote for Democrats? Get the shot. Well, wait a minute. I was on the front line. Y'all was praising us a minute ago. I was, saving lives and stuff. But then all of a sudden, I got to get the shot. I mean, but I did have COVID already. It doesn't matter. Get the shot. But I don't want the shot. Get the shot. I don't want the shot. You better get the shot or you're fired. How in the world can you go down there and vote for these people? That's what I don't understand. I mean, it goes across the board. Give me another one. Give me another group. How about this? Middle class, hardworking Americans. If you work at GM, car factory, coal mine, construction, anything but a upper to, middle upper to upper class person, white liberals, most of them, and then manipulated black folks, unfortunately. But anything short of that, if you get out there and you grinding, how can you go vote for these people? They're straight up grabbing the whole middle class rug and snatching it out, right out from underneath you. How can you work a hard job, go to try to buy eggs, and you're complaining about the eggs? You go and complain about the gas prices. You're talking about the mortgage. You're talking about car payments. You're whining about all of that, and you go down there and go, Joe Biden. How in the world do you do it? Blows my mind. So Mark is on to something. It's not just Jews. It's almost every American citizen across the board. It's just fascinating that people go down there and say, I'm going to blow my own foot off. That's what I'm going to do. But that's your foot, man. You ain't got to blow your foot off. All you got to do is vote for the person who is going to change and do the opposite of what these people are doing. No. I'd rather walk around with no foot than to vote for the white supremacists. Idiots.
And so when you point it out, all of a sudden, oh, you're entertaining an anti-Semitic trope. No, we're not. We're calling out anti-Semitism in the Democrat Party. Oh. The Democrat Party has a history of racism, bigotry, eugenics. It has a history of attacking minorities all through most of its history. Slavery, segregation, separate but equal.
Mark!
And then it wants to claim that it's the savior party. All those segregationists were Democrats. All those filibusters led by Democrats and supported in many respects by their current president, Joe.
Oh, Mark, we might have to end. I ain't going to be finishing that. Did you hear that? That is, he just read the whole history of those folks. And yet, black folks and other minorities, which many of them are waking up, will go down and vote for them. But what's even more disturbing is when I would drop out all of those nuggets before they had a chance to vote, they would let that go right through one ear and out the other. That's a reprobate mind right there. I'm saying, wait a minute. I just told you that this is the party that's responsible for all the statues that they're claiming are white nationalists and racists that own slaves and stuff. Many of them, there was Democrats, Republicans didn't own no slaves. So what? So what? Let's go tear the statues down like dummies. Let's go tear the statues down like dummies. Wait. You're talking about reparations and all of that stuff. You're talking about Jim Crow laws, and they're telling you, they're up here going, Jim Crow 2.0. That came out of the mind of the Democrat Party. You're up here calling Donald Trump a Ku Klux Klan member, and the Democrats started the Klan. You're up here whining about supporting Planned Parenthoods, and the Democrats supported Margaret Sanger, who wanted to wipe black folks off the planet. You're supporting that? You're supporting the guy who said, I don't want my kids growing up in a racial jungle. You're supporting that guy. You're supporting the guy that had his hand up. Robert the Bird had holding hands with Robert the Bird. Had the hands up. There you go. You're supporting that guy. Show me the picture of Donald Trump hanging out with Robert the Bird. I can show you the picture of him with Rosa Parks. I can show you the picture with him with all kind of black celebrities and black folks. I can show you that. But what I can't find is him hanging out with Klan members. Can't find that. Can't find video footage of him eulogizing a former Klan member. Can't find that. But he's the racist. You're going to overlook that sea of history which the Democrats refuse to own. They don't want to talk about it. And they distribute that history amongst all Americans in the past, all white folks. It wasn't us. It was just every white folks in the past. Had nothing to do with us. If you're going to go out and start tearing down everything from the past because it's tainted and it's irredeemable, and it was born out of racism, segregation, slavery, then tear down the Democrat Party. Tear that sucker down, man, because it is responsible for the horrific history that all of these radicals and crazy bubbleheads running around fighting for, talking about America is a country that is racism and slavery. You hear that all the time. But you never hear them say, well, wait a minute. What group of people started that mess and hung on to it and fought to keep it? And Mark had to drop it out there. And I think that's a good point to go ahead and say to be continued. Because I don't want this show to be 3 hours. I still got a good, 18 minutes? So I'm going to pick up tomorrow where Mark just left off. I love what he said. I love it. That's what I love. I hope you edit. Take this live stream, cut that section out from what Mark said to here. Yeah, me piggybacking right off of what Mark has said. Somebody said Gizmo maybe. Yep, actually, he just jumped up on the chair when I was talking. Come here, Gizmo. Come here. Yeah, he got caught up with his little bandana of liberal tears. I had to take it off. So, and he got a haircut coming up real soon. Hey, Gizmo. Did you know that the Democrat Party was responsible for slavery and all of that stuff? Did you know that? Yeah. And they're always whining about racism and stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not looking at you. You're not a dog of color. You're just a dog. Uh-huh. And I love you for yes, I do. Yeah, you see his helmet? He pretty much got a helmet on. The man got bangs. Right now looks like he has a mushroom on top of his head. A mushroom. But I still love him anyway. And he smells like a foot. But hey, it's my foot, okay? Yeah, it's like smelling your own fart. Doesn't count. Yeah, that's my fart. Now anyway, so guys, I ain't gonna be able to finish tonight. Yeah, it's gonna be part 2 tomorrow. I'll finish up here because we ain't even got to Chuck Schumer. We ain't even got to this dude who got up there and gave a speech that was so, I listened to it before I put this together today, and I was just thinking to myself, boy, I'm going to let him have it. There were so many things he said that I was chomping at the bits, but I'm not going to be able to get to it. I would end up rushing if I tried to push it through right now. And I think it needs to be like fine wine. See, it needs to be like fine wine. I want to dissect it and not feel like I'm under the gun, okay? So we're going to go ahead and pick it up tomorrow, all right? This is a message to Christians, Jews, the blacks, whites, Latinos, everybody. Every American need to hear what the Democrats are responsible for, and how these folks, that party is single-handedly just destroying the country, and their ideas is not just, limited to the U.S. It's liberalism. It's the crazy, radical, globalist ideology. And they're trying to spread this mess across the globe. And it's bad for everybody. Everybody. And it's crazy, man. And they wonder why African countries are rejecting us. They're going there. I'd rather hook up with China, rather hook up with Russia. And they're up here tethering the money that they give us to studies of transgender bathrooms and stuff. We do not want that in Africa. No, we won't have that. We will go ahead and partner with Vladimir Putin before we... Folks are looking at us and saying these folks are nuts with their radical ideas and stuff. And yet they call us extremists. So God bless y'all. God bless America. We'll finish tomorrow. Don't forget to hit that like button, share my videos, follow me on all the other social media platforms, even though I probably won't even know you're following. Well, actually, I would know you're following me if you follow me on anything but YouTube. YouTube, you probably can leave messages right now and I won't even get them. So anyway, keep trying. That's all I can say. Keep trying. And if you want to help out the channel, you can do that by checking out my store, my corner store. And you can support the channel through my monthly fundraiser link. It's right below the video. I would greatly appreciate it if you did. And I just seen Don post the link to my alternative channel. So please click on it if you haven't already. All right. So I'm not even going to go ahead and close out with my little anthem because I want to keep this right here. That's what I'm going to do. Oh, and text MAGA to 330-974-4607. Thank you, Don, for all you do. Thank all of you for the support that you give. And God bless y'all. We need prayer for our country. We are in a mess right about now. But there's hope. Yeah. And as much as I love Trump, our hope still isn't in Trump. Our hope is built on nothing less than Jesus Christ and righteousness. That's what it's built on. And Trump's just a vessel that God is using. And I love him anyway, though. I do love him. So see y'all tomorrow. Same time, same place. Take care.